Councillors, can I have your attention, please? Welcome to this meeting, councillors. Welcome to this meeting of the Town Planning Committee, and I now declare the meeting open. We will commence the meeting with the following reflection. I would ask those gathered to join us now for a few moments of silence as we reflect on our roles in this chamber. Please use this opportunity for reflection, prayer, or thought to focus on our shared intention to work respectfully together for the well-being of our whole community. Thank you very much. And being the first meeting of the year, I just want to wish everyone a fantastic year, those in the gallery and my fellow councillors as well. The Cardinia Shire Council respectfully acknowledges that we are on the traditional lands of the Bunurong and Wurundjeri people and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We have no apologies for tonight's meeting. Councillors, are there any declarations of interest in the agenda items tonight? I see none. Moving on to ordinary business. The items on today's agenda are item 5.1, application T230400, subdivision of land. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Radford.
Thank you. I would like to move the officer's recommendation, which is that council resolve to issue a notice of decision to refuse to grant a permit for planning permit application T230400 for subdivision of land on the following grounds: that the application is not generally in accordance with the officer precinct structure plan.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Owen. Councillor Radford to speak first, please.
Thank you, Councillor Owen, for your second. So this is being refused on the that it is not in accordance with the officer precinct structure plan. The land proposed for subdivision for housing is nominated as land for a future government school in the officer PSP, and that's what. So they're looking to develop this lot into residential, which is not part of the PSP, and I completely support the officer's recommendation here. There is enough, we're in the growth area, there is a lot of residents building in here, and we need to be able to provide the services and facilities and infrastructure that the residents moving into this area require. And so putting in a school, which would also have a community hall available to it as well, and some open space, that's really important to those residents moving into this area. So I completely support the refusal to have this developed into residential land. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. I'll go to the seconder, Councillor Brenner.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Radford. I fully support you, your position in this. I also support the officer's recommendation for refusal. The officer strategy has been in existence for over 10 years now, and people go into the area of officer, buy into officer with this plan in mind, and the plan has clearly states that there's a primary school proposed at this location. So anything against that is against obviously the strategy, against what people's expectations are for the land. I don't know about the previous sales of this land, but obviously this plan has been in place for 10 years. So most people have accepted that this needs to be a primary school. So I fully support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Owen. Are there any other councillors who'd like to speak on this item? I see none, so I'll go back to the original mover, Councillor Tammy Radford, please.
Thank you, Councillor Owen, for your support. I'll just read a note from the report which says, having regard to the structure plan as a whole and the objectives of providing community facilities, including government school sites as shown within the plan, the objectives contained within the structure plan for community facilities refer to the provision of schools, amongst other services, as the population thresholds are reached and funding becomes available. There is no evidence to suggest this school will not be required in the future as the officer population continues to increase. I do know of an area in officer that was once divided up as residential lots and sold to people. This was also proposed as a school site. Well, obviously, Murphy's Law dictates that then the local state government acquired that land, so it displaced many purchasers. It was a very stressful time. So I agree, there is nothing to suggest that this would not be a primary school, and so we should just leave it as that and not approve this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. We'll now put item 5.1 to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Moving on to item 5.2, application T230399, subdivision of land. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Tammy Radford.
Thank you. I move the officer's recommendation that council resolve to issue a notice of decision to refuse to grant a permit for planning permit application T230399 for subdivision of land on the following grounds. The application is not generally in accordance with the officer precinct structure plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Davies. We'll go to the mover, Councillor Radford, to speak, please.
Thank you. This is pretty much, I won't repeat myself too much on this one. It's for the same reasons. The proposal is for subdivision of land into 50 lots ranging from 245 square metres to 396 square metres in size and associated internal network. Again, the applicant was advised that this was generally not in accordance with the officer PSP and that as such no permit could be granted, but the applicant has declined this request to withdraw as they believe there is sufficient ground on which council can review and decide the application. There are a number of examples through VCAT where with this decision to refuse has been upheld at VCAT. And so, as I said before, I'm very strongly support the officer's recommendation here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. We'll go to the seconder, Councillor Stephanie Davies.
Thank you, Mayor. No further comments.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak to this item 5.2? There being none, we'll go back to the original mover, Councillor Radford, to sum up, please.
Thank you. When considering these applications, we must have regard as a whole of the objectives of providing the community facilities. We must respect the precinct structure plan and the strategy that has been put in place. As I said, it can put a lot of people out buying in this area, expecting to have a school round the corner, and then all of a sudden there's not. So we need to support, please, councillors, this refusal. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now put item 5.2 and the officer's recommendation to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Moving on to item 5.3, application T220833, use and development of a dwelling at 245 Simpson Road, Iona. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Kay Cameron.
Thank you, Mayor. I wish to have council defer in consideration of this application T220833 for use and development of land due to the applicant advising council that the application will be withdrawn.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron. So before us is an alternative motion to defer. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Colin Ross. Thank you, Councillor Ross. I'll ask Councillor Cameron to speak first, please.
I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Councillor Ross, would you like to speak to this item?
Self-explanatory. Nothing further to add. Thank you, Mayor.
Are there any other councillors who would like to contribute? Councillor Stephanie Davies.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Cameron and Councillor Ross. I was not aware that the applicant intended to withdraw the application. Has this been provided in writing and been accepted by the council officers? May I please ask that question of the General Manager? Thank you.
You may. We'll go to Lily Rosick to speak, please.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Davies. Through you, Mayor, I have been advised that the applicant is intending to withdraw, and that is an option that an applicant has. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rosick. We'll go back to Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Ms. Rosick. I understand that the applicant has advised they intend to withdraw. However, this is not a formality that's not been received in writing. So for that reason, I'm a bit concerned. In the event that Councillor Cameron's motion to defer is lost, may I foreshadow that council resolves as per the officer report contained within the agenda tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. I'll note that. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak to the alternate motion to defer this item? Any other councillors wishing to speak? There being none, I'll go back to Councillor Cameron to sum up, please.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just would like to reiterate what Ms Rosick said in relation to this withdrawal being an option that the applicant has and is more than encouraged to use when there's an issue that they need to resolve. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now put this alternate up for a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. Moving on to item 5.4, application T230101, Mary Street, Bunyip, construction of 11 dwellings on a lot. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Graham Moore.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to that council defers consideration of this application T230101, planning application Mary Street, Bunyip, construction of 11 dwellings on a lot to the March 2024 town planning meeting due to the concerns in relation to the traffic impacts to Mary Street and the surrounding road network, and enables officers to request a traffic impact assessment to be undertaken by the applicant.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. So as I understand it, it's an alternate to the officer's recommendations to defer this.
Correct, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, so that we're all clear. Do I have a seconder to that motion? Councillor Colin Ross. I'll go to the mover, Councillor Graham Moore, to speak first, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Ross, for the second. I've been deliberating about this particular application. The application, and as far as I'm concerned, hasn't got much of a problem. It's just that the traffic impacts of this Mary Street, it's like a single road. It's only 3.5 metres wide. It takes one single car up one way. It's a two-way road, and I believe, and I don't like going against the council staff on these items, but I think the traffic engineers may have got it a little bit wrong, and I just want that checked through a traffic assessment on this application before it's too late, because I believe in the safety of our community is paramount in the Bunyip area, and it's a road that's used quite a lot from the residents from George Street, and so I'm agreeing with one particular item on the objectors. There's 9 objectors to this particular application, and the one item that I really believe in that is a problem with this development is the road, and the intersection at the bottom of the road also would cause a problem, which is into the high street, which is one of the main areas of the Bunyip Shopping Centre. So all I'm asking for is a traffic assessment and brought back to the meeting in March, and I will have a look at it from there and we'll see where it goes from there. But that's my request. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. We'll go to the seconder, Councillor Colin Ross.
Thank you, Mayor. I concur with Councillor Moore in relation to this matter. In Pakenham, I know in particular we've had developments in the past where potentially there were going to be problems with very narrow streets. We finished up at one stage on McGregor Road in the service lane that was designed of the day too small, and then they changed the laws later on, which actually made it too small. But once it's built, it's built. So we need to make sure that we do everything we can to make sure it's going to work properly. It is better to do it now before it's all built and approved and moved on. So I do concur that it would be good to have a officer's traffic impact statement that'll give us some more information around this. And if this is something that could hold it up, there might be some variations or different things that can be put forward as options that will make it more serviceable. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. So, Councillor Moore, just to be clear, when are you asking for this to come back?
I was looking for the March town planning meeting in 2024 this year.
Would you consider April? Would you consider it to be later just to allow for a little bit more time?
It would give the applicant more time to get this assessment. I can understand that, Mayor. I would accept April.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any other speakers to item 5.4? There being none, I'll go back to the mover, Councillor Moore, to sum up, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the clarification. Yes, April will be fine. I understand that the applicant may need that time to have that assessment approved, and I'm looking forward to see what we come up with. I mean, there is a possibility to have this as a one-way road. That may be one of the possibilities. I'm not a traffic engineer myself, but I know what it's suited around this particular item. When you've got 11 dwellings, and I must congratulate the applicant of coming down. There were 15. The original application was 15 townhouses there, 2-storey ones, and they've come down to 11 single-storey units. So I congratulate the applicant for coming down to something that's reasonable and sits in with the Bunyip strategy very well. So I think most of the other issues I find is not a problem, but it's just about the traffic is my biggest concern, Mayor. So I'm looking forward to that traffic impact assessment to come back to the staff, and then we'll reassess it from there on. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for your summary. And before we put this to a vote, I have just made an error. We don't have a town planning meeting in April, so it's going to have to be with the original in March. So just, is everyone clear on that? My apologies.
Okay, that's what I thought, Mayor.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
We're going to put this item to a vote now. Item 5.4, Councillor Moore's alternate to defer. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Thank you. Sorry for the confusion there. Moving on, item 5.5, Planning Scheme Amendment Activity Report, February 2024. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Stephanie Davies.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council notes the report. They're in the minutes and the agenda.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Do I have a seconder for that item? Councillor Radford, please. Councillor Davies to speak first.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Radford. This section of the agenda is the Planning Scheme Amendment Activity Report, and it lists 8 planning scheme amendments which is currently under consideration. These include the Pakenham South Employment Precinct. This was adopted by Council at the July 2021 meeting, and it's been submitted to the Minister for Planning for approval. Likewise, we have another amendment which was lodged Shire-wide, which is the Environmentally Sustainable Development Policy, the local policy, which has associated changes to the municipal strategic statement. And likewise, this is also presented to the Minister for Planning, and this was something we endorsed in March 2023. So whilst this is quite a long process to get changes in the planning scheme, it's a very thorough and detailed one, and I would like to acknowledge the information in the report and bring that to Council's attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. We'll go to your seconder, Councillor Radford.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Davies. Yeah, this is just a good report for people to read. So get onto this report on the website, and it will just give you the status of the active planning scheme amendments. And so it's just really good information to understand what's going on around the Shire. And I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Radford. Are there any other councillors who'd like to speak to this item? I see none. I'll go back to the mover, Councillor Davies, to sum up.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Radford. I confirm that I seek councillors to note the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. We'll now put that item for a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Thank you. Moving on to item 5.6, planning matters dealt with by officers under delegated authority for Feb 2024. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Brett Owen.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that Council note the report.
Thank you, Councillor Owen. Can I have a seconder for that? Councillor Colin Ross. Councillor Owen to speak, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Ross. The following matters have been dealt with under delegated powers since the last report to Council. So this is a regular report in town planning. In this item, there's over 200. I tried to count when I had time to do that, but I think it's over 200 with a quick glance, and that's a quite significant amount of approvals or decisions made by officers. In my ward, we saw 215 Princess Highway, Beaconsfield. This is the BP service station and the associated businesses. Long story behind this application. A lot of issues with other authorities, whether it's Melbourne Water, Department of Transport, and that's why there was a number of delays regarding that. So that business, those businesses are finally open and operating. So we know that the permit has been issued. There's an interim egress from the subject land. So there was issues with drainage still need to be done and other things need to be done. So it is a temporary egress. So that was the permit issued, and now we see that business operating. There was another permit just slightly down the road at 221 Princess Highway, use and development of land for dwellings, also retail premises, car parking, etc. So it's good to see these permits issued. I encourage all residents to have a look at this report. It just provides some information to them about what's being decided upon by officers. You know, these decisions about garages, carports, tennis courts, for obvious reasons, councillors can't determine on every application because we're here to the early hours of the morning. But so that's why we have delegated authority if it meets those certain circumstances where it doesn't have to come to Town Planning Committee. So it is a very interesting read. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Owen. We'll go to your seconder, Councillor Ross.
Nothing further to add. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Ross. Are there any other councillors who would like to speak? There being none, I'll go back to the mover, Councillor Owen, to sum up.
No further, thank you.
We'll now put this item 5.6 to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Item 5.7, Planning Matters VCAT Report, February 2024. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Davies.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that council notes the report.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Colin Ross. Councillor Davies to speak, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Ross. I will just speak briefly on this report. It lists the matters that are currently the subject of a VCAT appeal and also matters that have been recently lodged at VCAT, and finally notifies council of decisions that have been made subsequent to a VCAT process. Whilst council's responsibility as the delegated authority on the planning matters that we decide are final, there are rights of review, and if there has been an error in the consideration of content or something like that, that's when VCAT will have provide fresh eyes over it. I think most pleasingly, the matters that have recently been resolved at VCAT include one example where VCAT affirmed council's decision where no permit was issued, which was on land for a contractor depot, and there was also another matter which was council had refused a council had actually not determined, and the applicant lodged this with VCAT, and a permit has been issued with consent. So this was with further negotiation. So upon review, I am confident that that council is appropriately resourcing its planning at VCAT and presenting, and that council officers have presented council with comprehensive information, and it does indicate due diligence in our work. So councillors, for your review, I move that we note this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. I'll go to the seconder, Councillor Ross.
Nothing further. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Ross. Are there any other councillors who'd like to speak on item 5.7? There being none, I'll go back to the mover, Councillor Stephanie Davies, to sum up, please.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Ross, for seconding. I might just also draw your attention, councillors, to another item, which is T220375 4915 South Gippsland Highway in Langland, which was the subdivision of land into two lots in a boundary realignment. I'm from memory, I believe this was actually considered a house excision in a rural development, and it's quite interesting to read here that the applicant has lodged that with VCAT. So I will certainly be watching that. I know the local paper picked it up when I was speaking to the matter, and it didn't reflect great on me. But it's yeah, it is very important that we make consistent, clear, and high-level decisions as we do this work. And this is a very important report to note and review. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davies. We'll now put item 5.7 to a vote. All those in favour? Against? I declare that carried. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, members of the gallery, for joining us, and council officers as well. I now declare the meeting closed at 7:25 p.m. Thank you.